It is not an uncommon feeling to get exhausted from teaching, not because of the physical demands, but because you might not feel that your students are radiating the same effort, drive, or motivation to improve. In my opinion, this is especially true in debate because it can get very lifeless quite quickly, and sometimes the topics can get too difficult for debate to become as fun as it might have been before for your students. So it's not always an issue with your teaching, nor is it an issue with your students. Let's not be so hasty to assign blame here. Instead of blaming yourself or being toxic against your own students and overpressuring them, let's try and find a way to motivate our students incrementally. And for this video, it has to do with how we frame our lessons and how we approach training. First, cover less topics in each session. When dealing with unmotivated students, you might overcompensate by overloading more material and trying to see if any of it might stick. This is unproductive because students might just tune out and no longer pay attention. Instead, do the opposite. Reduce the mental load. Focus on one skill at a time. Show how this is actionable in different levels of complexity. And this demonstration should be more than sufficient to allow the student to apply it on their own. The point is being, less topics allows for more application and more engagement with your students. Second, limit test your students just a little bit beyond their perceived bounds. Another source of weak drive is that your students might feel that they are helpless in improving. And so they turn to a fixed mindset and give up early on when it gets too difficult. And they might start to be narrating to themselves some beliefs of how they are as a debater. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's too late for me to get good, etc., etc. And of course, your answer here shouldn't be to keep it easy for them. In fact, again, it's the exact opposite. You might want to induce a healthy amount of tension within each training session. Continue to gauge where they are having difficulty and ask them to make minor improvements and changes within those specific bounds. For example, if their introduction is taking too long, ask them to restart their speech and keep it to within 30 seconds. If their argument currently does not have an example, interrupt them and ask them to try and give an example and illustrate their argument. If a student has not yet reached 7 minutes in their first try, but they reach 3 minutes, tell them no, we're not yet done, and keep asking them more questions until they reach the 5th minute. And the next time, keep trying this until they reach 7 minutes. The point is, there is tension and awkwardness and difficulty in these moments. And you want to give all of these in appropriate, controlled doses so that they can make clear improvements in the moment. And lastly, walk the talk. You cannot simply force someone to be driven. A lot of it comes from how they model your behavior, your habits, your disposition, and your words. Do not underestimate the effect that you have on these students. And so I hope that if you are a coach and a teacher for kids in debate, that you are also actively making the effort to be more curious, to be more interested and immersed, and to give your whole attention to your students when you are teaching them. All of these small things matter. And in the long run, this is what matters most when your students will eventually look back at the time when they were taught by you. Ultimately, to be driven is a decision that your student will make if they deem it to be important and worth it for their own growth and their own life. This decision is ultimately out of your control. And the responsibility of the coach and all of teachers around the world is to create an environment rich of opportunities so that they can realize every step towards progress and foster a sense of appreciation and gratitude in the process of it all. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.